We're live. We're live. Good evening. Hello. No, I'm not getting any numbers in yet. Good evening. Happy Friday. Hope you're well. Welcome to this. I don't know what the fuck it is, but you're actually welcome to it. Tonight, I'm going to be interviewing Jayney Ross, therapist, and what's the word? I'm just looking for the right word, Jayney. Proprietor is the wrong word of root cause therapy. Practitioner of root cause therapy. I'm from Wigan, so I've kind of a limited vocabulary on words. We've got 6 people watching this shit. Good evening. Don't worry, Jayney, we'll get more than 6 in. I'm just waiting till they all straggle in. They're just going usually to the off license first, buying cans before they come on to this. So tonight's chat is going to be about therapy, root cause therapy. After we've had the initial chat, there'll be a Q&A where you can ask Jayney questions about root cause therapy in general. And if you're struggling with your mental health and all that, it might be interesting for you. Also, Jayney is offering 30 minutes free consultation for anybody who's interested in that. I'll put the website details below after the chat. Terry Vickers, good evening. We've got you, Terry Vickers. We've got one person in, Terry. Terry, good evening. I hope you're going to be intently listening tonight, because it's basically going to be 3 of us tonight. It's looking like. So, Terry, this is a private show. It's kind of a therapy lap dance just for you, Terry. David Jones, good evening. We've got 9 people watching this shit. I'll bring Jayney out when there's an adequate number of people in, at least 11. So, David Jones, are you well? Dennis Bohemia, I'm not too bad, Dennis. How the devil are you? Martin Redding, good evening, Martin Redding. Terry needs therapy. He's very crazy. In a few minutes, I'm going to bring Jayney out. We're going to be discussing therapy. Now, I've been seeing Jayney for quite a few months now. It's been very insightful. I've learned quite a bit about myself and all that. So perhaps you too can learn something. And like I said, there's going to be a question and answer at the end of it. So you can just chip in and just, if you've got a question, a serious therapy-related question, I'm good, thanks, Jimmy. Hope you're well, pal. Looking good. Thank you. I use Timothy, David, because I'm with it. That's L'Oreal, but, I can't afford L'Oreal. I'm limited income. 16 people watching this shit. It's hotting up now, Jayney. Don't worry. A couple more minutes. I'm going to bring Jayney out. So I hope you're all going to be when we're chatting. By the way, when we're chatting, I won't be looking at many of your comments. I'll be giving me attention to Jayney, so I won't be being ignorant. But after we've had the initial chat and all that, we can catch up on comments. Unless any questions, remember Q&A is afterwards. Remember that. I'm to 17 people now. I'm telling people come in and all that, but questions are for after. The initial thing is the chat, the therapy-based chat. So we've got 17 people. It's exciting. That's a house party. It's a big house party. A house party where I'd be in the kitchen, just sat on my own, thinking about my life choices, probably. We've got 15 people now. You know what? Without further ado, will you welcome to the stage, the orange stage, Miss Jayney Ross, practitioner of root cause therapy.
Hello.
Good evening, Jayney.
Hi, Jimmy. Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for agreeing to come on. And as I said, you've been my therapist, if you want that heavy title, for quite since the back end of last year, and we've been doing a various mix of the therapies. One being hard and other ones. So let me just ask you, what was your journey into root cause therapy? How did you get to root cause therapy? How did you discover it?
Okay, so very long story short, always kind of been into weird stuff, always been into energy and stuff around that. So going right back into early 2002, 2003, I'd qualified in Reiki, aromatherapy, Indian head massage, all that kind of stuff. but never really fully did it. I was working full time, stayed in the rat race. Continue many years forward. Back end of 2018, 2019, I had a full-on nervous breakdown. I was completely goosed. All anybody was able to really offer me was to go to the doctors and start taking some form of antidepressants, or sit on a waiting list to access some form of therapy, or access person-centered stuff, none of which appealed to me in the slightest. So from there, I pretty much told them, shove the pills and whatever up their asses, and I was going to do it my way. So kind of walked out of the doctors a little bit, not knowing what to do, just knowing that the best way I can explain it, there was something inside of my soul that was screaming, and I was in pain. And the thought of taking a tablet that everybody was telling me I needed to be able to function, and it wasn't functioning that I wanted to do anymore. I'd spent many years functioning, and I needed to be alive and not stuck in survival. So I decided to pretty much listen to my soul, and I started to literally peel layers of myself back to try and understand what could happen to me, because nobody seemed to be able to even offer any explanations. It was just the same bullshit wherever I went. So yeah, started to delve back into the shit that I knew about, energy, kind of jumped a little bit back into law of attraction to change my mindset, all that kind of stuff. Very quickly started to realize that everything kind of went back to childhood. And I was one of them people, if you asked me 5-10 years ago what childhood trauma I had, I would have told you absolutely none. I was brought up in a good home, I was loved, I was cared for, never needed for anything. Yeah, that was my genuine understanding. But the more I kind of delved into shit, I started to realise that everything stemmed back there. So from there, then I jumped into, I did like a year's course on like just self-awareness, consciousness. It was called the Year of the Awakened Heart. And that is what I see that literally saved me. Genuinely, I couldn't say that I would be sat here today if I'd not have found that key. It was a shitty, horrendous, painful fucking year to go back and to not realise just how I was fucked, but the impact that I'd had on my own children and their upbringing and everything else. So yeah, from there then obviously delved really deep. Started to work on my shadow, started to work on my belief system, started to understand from a nervous system point of view what was going on, rather than everybody just telling you, oh, it's all in your head, it's in your head, it's in your head. It's bullshit. It's not. It's in every bloody fibre of your being. So yeah, I'd kind of sorted a lot of my own shit out. Come to the realisation that I wanted and needed to retrain so that I could kind of offer somebody what I so desperately needed at that time that nobody could give me. So from there, then that was when I kind of delved into restudying, and I stumbled across root cause, and it literally just blew me away, because everything that I'd kind of put myself through in the journey I'd gone through myself that had taken a couple of years at this point to achieve, I found with root cause therapy, I could offer that, and I could bring clients to that place within a matter of bloody weeks. So it was just like magic when I found it. And obviously the more I delved into it, and then the more healing work I did, and the more I worked on my own childhood. So yeah, it just, the whole lot just completely freed me and allows me to be here and to hopefully give back to people something that not many people are there to be able to guide you on and to guide you with. And that's what I try and do now through the work that I do. So
how did you stumble across it? Was it did somebody put you onto it? Did you
No, it was literally complete synchronicity, like everything is, isn't it? So yeah, I'd made the decision that it was some role of a therapist that I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to do counselling or CBT or any of the mainstream shit as I saw it, because it had been no use or help for me or the people around me that needed help. So yeah, I remember at first I'd gone into inner child healing. So first I got my certificates in inner child healing. I then studied ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences, got qualification in that. I'd done the year's awareness stuff, but I just felt like there was something missing. And I'd literally sat on my kitchen table and I was thinking out loud and said, you know, I need something. What is the missing piece that I'm looking for? And I know that sounds really cliche. And literally I went on my Facebook and I started scrolling through and I saw this advert for root cause therapy. And it was pretty much brand new at the time. They'd only just released it as a modality to train other people in. And I kind of delved into it. And at the time I was skint, I had absolutely jack shit. So then again, I went back into the law of attraction again to try and manifest the money I needed to do the course, and everything just fell into place. And even daft stuff, I remember the synchronicities as I first got all my login details and I signed up, all of the people that it suggested that you followed and all of the books it suggested you read. And I was like, shit, they're the exact people that I followed to bring me to this place. So everything just kind of confirmed it was the right thing for me to do. And they're a brilliant, amazing company. Ethics beyond anything. Again, not textbook people. The company was born, and certainly Root Cause was born out of their own struggles, their own traumas. And again, having nobody there to actually help people free themselves and find out who the fuck they are, rather than just mask it and keep people hooked and feeding big pharma forevermore. That's my view.
All right. So what are the company, the people who devised root cause therapy? Am I right in thinking it's Australia? It's an Australian concept.
Yeah, that's right. So originally, when they first opened, they were called the Melbourne Centre for Healing, and the company was kind of born. I'll tell you the backstory for Root Cause. So Melissa Hyman is the creator of Root Cause, and she was a therapist. She'd been a therapist for a number of years. She'd worked in a huge load of different modalities. She's qualified in neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, your standard stuff, life coaching, whole host of things, regression therapy, timeline therapy, all kinds of stuff. And she'd met Ryan, this guy, a couple of years previously. They kind of got chatting. They both weren't in a great place where they were at the time. They were Facebook mates, and that was kind of about it. And Mel tells the story that a couple of years later, she got a message from Ryan out of the blue, just asking if was she still a therapist. And he said, I need to come and see you. And she said, as he walked in a therapist's room, she was gobsmacked and couldn't believe the different guy that was stood in front of her from the man that she'd met. And at that time, Ryan was he was fucked, for want of a better word. Is his own description. He was a full-on drug addict. Heavy shit that he was on. He'd got himself involved in drug dealing. He was in a lot of mixing with shitty people. He'd lost a marriage. He'd lost his entire family. His family had turned him off completely. He was majorly in the shit. Mel says he was, a good few stone lighter than the last time she'd seen him, and he literally looked like a bag of shit. And she thought, Jesus, what am I going to do with this guy? How am I going to get into where he needs to be? So she'd kind of thrown a lot of the stuff that she'd been taught out of the window and just started playing around with stuff. And within around 12 weeks, I think it was, Ryan was completely healed. He was off all of the drugs. He was complete straight place again. And he decided, right, this is what I need to do. I'm, advocate for this, and I can really got a place to help people with addiction. So he signed himself up to all the standard stuff, all the psychology, counselling, courses and what have you that was available in Melbourne. And again, very quickly started to realise that they don't even cover trauma, that it's not talked about, it's not taught. If it is, it's a very slight module. But he was like, when are you going to teach us the actual shit that makes changes? So he got very frustrated very quickly. Rang Mel and said, will you teach me everything that you know? I need to fucking do this work. So she said, yeah, come on. So they got together, they created the Melbourne Centre for Healing, and they opened it up as an addiction and a mental health service. And it just kind of went massive because there was nothing else out there that touches the side of what root cause therapy does. So their success rate, I think, was around about 99% with the people that they'd worked with. And these were people that had been struggling with addiction and mental health for years and years and years, been through umpteen rehab programs, stuck on antidepressants or whatever for 10, 20, 30 years. Huge results. So from there, their business expanded. Mel took people on. She trained them in the modality, and still they couldn't service the amount of people that was seeking therapy. So roundabout, it was just before, I shall say, the drama and bullshit of 2020 hit, that they'd made a decision that they were going to switch the business. They wanted to go travelling. So they decided that rather than them just owning it and kind of seeing their own clients face to face, they was going to switch it around and create a course that they could train other people to offer the modality so that it could actually be a global kind of therapy that was accessible to everybody. So they literally then, just before the shit hit the fan in 2020, they'd set up in Thailand and started to offer root cause as a modality. And then I think it was back at it. So it was literally within a few months maybe of them launching the course that I found it. But yeah, that's where it was born from. And since then, obviously, there's hundreds, thousands of qualified root cause practitioners now pretty much worldwide. So
it's a concept that's growing.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's neuroscience, so it's cutting edge shit. Yeah, this is the shit that gets to it does what it says on the tin. It's about getting to the root cause of the issue that is always within the subconscious. Yeah, every single person who walks into my room comes in with a huge array of different problems, different backgrounds, different experiences, different trauma. Yeah. But ultimately, as human beings, we're all pretty much conditioned in the same way. So the experiences that have led us to grow up and be whatever personality that we have is literally a shed load, usually, of trauma adaptations that we've had to make in order to survive the environments that life's chucked at us. So we get to a certain age and we just think, this is who I am, and I'm stuck within this pattern, and it's bullshit.
I've learned quite a lot of interesting things from you. I'm not just saying this because you're here and you know I'm gaining nothing by saying this, but I've got some other questions to ask you. I just have to interject with this. I learned about the survival brain, which we'll get onto later, and just identifying your wounds and various things that I learned with you and your therapy, rather than the years, couple of decades I've spent in a native kind of NHS therapies. And in that time, I mean, there was an instance I broke down in front of you talking about my mum, which I'd never done in a conventional therapy thing. But let me just wind it back there. For anyone who's interested and for anyone who's watching, could you tell me what are the fundamental aspects of root cause therapy? What does it entail, just for the layman? And if you were to break it down.
I think really it's to look at the differences, isn't it, between root cause therapy as opposed to kind of your mainstream therapies. So for the bulk of mainstream therapies, for one, you've got to go in and usually know that you've got some form of an issue. Yeah. And what most clients tell me is they feel that a lot of the time they're stuck in an empty space, because in certain kinds of therapies, the therapist's role is to allow the client to unravel in their own space, in their own time, which is great depending on what are the issues that are going on. But what root cause does is, rather than concentrate on the issue that's here, which we see as a symptom, we go right back to what's causing that issue. So we don't need to spend months, weeks, years talking around the same shit, because that is never the problem. And the more people are talking around this, that then becomes their identity. So you're doubly fucked, because consistently you're telling yourself a story that this is who I am. So it becomes even more difficult to break free from it. Within root cause, we go into what actually created this bloody symptom that you're having to live with every day. And as soon as it's effectively going in and picking up the weeds, rather than just cutting, the top of the weeds as they grow out. We're going in and we're yanking the buggers out. Do you know what I mean? That weed ain't growing back.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, because all the time, in most therapies, at some point, what they're looking to do is to get the client to uncover what their core belief is, because that's what creates everything. And that's where root cause goes to, because for everybody within all of us, the age of 0 to 7, we're not even conscious beings. We're like sponges, and we're picking up everything around our environment because we need to survive. So the body and the nervous system is always looking to change and adapt to fit in with whatever that environment is. So we're born pretty much perfect. We're born our absolute authentic selves. And it's because of the experiences that we're exposed to by our caregivers and other adults and peers and siblings and everybody around us. We start then to get a view about ourselves based on how we're treated and our perception of the world around us. And that literally becomes a program that sits inside of you forevermore, that controls everything that you do, because it's your belief system that creates the thoughts that you have. The thoughts that you have generate some kind of emotion. The emotion gives you a feeling. The feeling will then determine what action you take, and whatever action you take, there's your result. So that's why people get stuck in the same loop again and again and again. And no matter how much consciously they're trying to break that pattern or get out of the shit that they're in, they can't address it from there because it's driven from the belief system. And the subconscious it pisses all over every bit of the conscious mind. Yeah, 95% of everything we do every bloody day is driven by the subconscious mind. So that's why people are then struggling with willpower. Yeah. And it's literally the second you change that belief, perception changes. As soon as perception changes, your reality changes. And that's why with root cause therapy, the results are not just rapid, they're lifelong, because it isn't about a sticky plaster.
No. So there's a part of it that's energetic. Is access bars a different thing to root cause therapy, or would you say it's part of it?
No, absolutely and utterly different. I love it because long term it promotes a similar result, but in the complete opposite way. So within root cause therapy, the client is always conscious. I always need that client to be fully conscious, because root cause therapy is about bringing what's in the subconscious to the conscious mind, so that the client can fully understand and process, certainly on a somatic level, whatever's going on. I'll go into that in a little minute, what actually happens within a session. I've just lost track of what I was saying.
I threw you off talking about access bars, but I was asking you, was access bars part of the
sorry, I was explaining the difference, wasn't I? So yeah, within root cause, it's all about bringing what's in the subconscious into the conscious mind. The beauty with access bars is client doesn't need to have any conscious awareness what's going on. They don't need to really be involved in the session. You've experienced it yourself, so as you know, you literally lie on the bed, I hold your head in a specific sequence, and that allows energy to kind of free and unblock energy centers really within the brain, which is what we call the bars, to allow shit to flow out of your body. So I always say, in the most untherapeutic way I could describe access bars, is it makes your head shut the fuck up for a moment, and that's why I love it. So
I've jumped the gun by getting things confused, but I will just say about the access bars. The last time you did it, you lit my head up. It was amazing. It is a good experience, line. It does realign energy. Anyway, winding it back. Right. So root cause therapy. I'm asking you a question I kind of know, but just for everybody, the benefit of everybody else. Would you say inner child work is a big part of root cause therapy?
Absolutely huge. It goes into everything. So it's inner child, it's shadow work, it's understanding ego, it's understanding the nervous system. It's really breaking yourself down and understanding yourself. And for me, that's no matter what is going on here, literally everything comes back down to your relationship to self. And for me, that's the program that I offer. That's the 8-week program that I offer. It's literally to understand who the fuck you are. Where did you come from? Why do you do the things that you do? Are you happy with that? Do you want to change that? Yeah. Any aspect of yourself that you don't like, you can change.
Yeah.
But when nobody tells us that we've got this power, we just think we've got to carry on in the bloody rat race and live that life. And you don't. As soon as you change your beliefs, everything changes. And it sounds like bullshit, and I understand for somebody to be sat on the other side who's never experienced this, it sounds like airy-fairy bullshit, and I get that. But as you know, it's only as you experience it and you start to feel those shifts, and you feel that emotion not just hit you, but finally leave your body. I mean, you experience the one you refer to yourself as the exorcist, yeah? You literally let go of 45 years worth of anger and fucking frustration.
It's everything, it seems, stems back from what happens. Like you said before about us being children, from being children, what happens to us, it's kept within us. So and it's about kind of, see, it sounds very new age, doesn't it? And to anybody who's not attuned to it, it will sound like fucking, but it's about kind of embracing that child or that broken part of you, and kind of reassuring it that everything's all right. And I'm not very good at articulating sometimes, but could you take the floor on this one?
Yeah, I mean, the inner child never leaves us. The inner child is literally the wounded aspects of ourselves that never got the attention that it needed in growing up. So for most clients that I work with, they look at the childhood as not a particularly shitty childhood. Yeah, most of us grew up with parents that loved and cared for us, but it's those tiny little things that create an impact. And like I say, when we actually go into the belief system, you know, some of the massive ones that pretty much affect everybody that I work with is I'm not good enough, I don't deserve, I don't matter, I'm not heard, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of judgment. Yeah, and all of this shit stems from that little you who got rejected or the needs not met in some way that created a trauma for that little person. Yeah, at age 2, you've not got the cognitive ability to work out that mum's stressed because she's up to here and she's not paid the bills and she's got to go to work. You can't work that out, and she shouts at you because you've just fallen over and you needed a hug. You go away then feeling, ah, shit, I don't matter, I'm not important. Nobody's here, I'm alone. And those beliefs get trapped, and that trauma and that emotion gets trapped in the body, which is where triggers come from. Yeah, age 40, somebody pissed you off and you've said something 4 times and they've not listened and you're fucking seething. That's because that belief is I'm not heard has been triggered. As soon as you learn the tools to be able to go back and pick that child up where that wound was, it's a game changer, because it's then about reparenting yourself. You're not projecting your shit all over everybody anymore. The trigger hits, you realize, this is old shit, I can pick that up and deal with it, and literally it passes through the body. You're not carrying it.
I became aware, I mean, that emotional, we're getting later about the emotional wounds, because I want to talk about the 4 agreements. But my emotional wound is around here, the heart. Do people have emotional wounds in different places, or is it usually the heart, the emotional wound?
No, it can be all over the place. So again, where you're feeling that now, that's definitely moved. So if you remember, last time we kind of did some work, a lot of that was sat around the solar plexus. Yeah. So remember at the time, that's what I said to you, that's literally where you feel like, woof, where literally when somebody's booted you in the stomach and you feel like, yeah. And that's all bitterness, resentment, all shitty emotions that sit really heavy on us there. Where you've moved to now is the grief. So as all that shit's processing, remember right at the beginning when you started with me and I said, for me, there's certain stages that we go through to truly heal. To start off with, it's awareness. Yeah, until we've got that awareness, we can't change shit. We can't heal shit. And that's why I love root cause therapy, because it brings what we're unaware of, the unconscious, to the conscious. Yeah. As soon as you've kind of, sorry, I've just lost track again of where I'm going. I got excited then.
We were talking about wounds, you know, and I said to you, like, I located it around here, you know what I mean? And you said you was talking about the
I was saying how it's moved, wasn't I? Yeah, so you was originally, a lot of your shit you was holding here in your solar plexus. So I was talking about the stages of healing, wasn't I? Yeah, so to start off with, it's awareness. Yeah, without that awareness, we can't change shit. But then as we get aware, then we get angry. Yeah, because now we look back and think, you know, you did this to me, or you didn't give me this, or whatever it is. Yeah, as we really go in and face that trauma. So from there, then we move into grief and the pain. Yeah, the woulda, coulda, shoulda. And it's only after that that we can fully move into acceptance. And what so many people try and do is jump from the awareness to the acceptance. Yeah, and especially within the spiritual field, yeah, it's real toxic positivity. Yeah, and it's bullshit. You can't get to there without going through that pain. The only way out is literally to go in. There is no other way. Otherwise, you're just bullshitting yourself. You're gaslighting yourself. And I think, again, that's the biggest difference with root cause. Certainly, if you sat in here with me, yeah, and anybody, I don't know if there's anybody on who has worked with me, but as you know, I won't let you get away with your bullshit. There's bullshit there. I'm here to show you your bullshit. I'm not here to tickle you. I'm not here to nod my head at you and go, oh, what I'm hearing is this. Yeah.
Somebody called Crevo says root cause therapy is life changing. I don't know if you know him. Do you know that? Do you know?
I don't know that name. It could be under a different name, but yeah. So, but yeah, it is.
It's I noticed that I became aware that my wounds were that I'm not good enough, and the rejection from childhood. I mean, I'm quite an open book, you know what I mean? And a lot of people who watch this stream have an idea about me. And as you know, my father wasn't the best dad. He was very, I don't want to use the term emotionally abusive, but he was kind of.
Well, that's the twist, Jim. And you've got, the more you can own that, the more that separates from the shit that you held. You was abused in that sense.
And so all my adult life, I've had this wound, of you're not good enough, and a wound of feeling kind of unwanted, which is kind of, as you said before, these things that we're given as children affect the rest, they affect your life. It affects every aspect of your life. And
Yeah.
you know, and I became so like the term I wanted to ask you about is disassociative. Is
Yeah.
that is that right? Could you describe to me what that means, please?
It's pretty much, it's a trauma response. So it gets to the point that the body will naturally always go into the most common, which is fight or flight. Yeah, most people have heard of fight or flight, and the body's under stress, and it will either do a runner or it will become aggressive and start to argue and fight its corner in defensiveness. Yeah. Outside of that is what's called freeze. Yeah. And what I see for a lot of people, certainly if they have dissociated, even with depression, it's pretty much the same thing. It's the body's going into functional freeze. The body becomes tired of trying to bring itself back to homeostasis, trying to regulate the nervous system. So if it's constantly up here all the time in fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight, it's got to work so hard to bring itself back down here. Now, if you're constantly in a environment or in a situation where there is danger and you are being traumatized, the best thing that the body can do so that you can cope and survive that is to remove itself. So you literally step outside of your own body so that you're not having to feel the intensity of what's going on. And the body is always looking to protect you. And that's literally what it is. It's a defensive mechanism that the body provides to keep you safe. Because it's too overwhelming for you to cope with whatever's going on.
I mean, I know I have that because, like, I've in relationships, especially, I've only ever let people that close to me, never completely close to me, kind of thing. And in friendships, I've only let people that close to me.
But again, that's going. If you remember when we touched, and I've got to be careful, obviously, what I say about the therapy that we've done, but back into your kind of attachment style.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we won't go too deep into it, kind of thing. Well, that's what I did all my life, was like, and also if I found people displeased me. Or it could be like, I like Jaffa cakes. Well, actually, I don't like Jaffa cakes. I like bourbons, creams. It'd be like, have you gone?
Protect yourself from that vulnerability. That's all it is. So you will reject somebody else before they've got the opportunity to reject you. I mean,
I even once, there was a woman I was talking to, and I found out that she warmed up brews in a microwave, and I fucked her.
No, that.
I'm not even joking. It's funny, but you can do it in such fucking, you know, like a matter of factness kind of thing. But another fascinating thing I learned from you, Barry Tittler's in. Good evening, Barry Tittler. Apologies to anybody who's come in and I've not said hello to yet. I'm going to get to you all, and Sean C will get to the questions in a bit. Another interesting thing I learned from you, Jaynie, is the survival brain. Now, it's not all about me, but I can only kind of personalize this by talking about what I've done with you. And most of my relationships have been kind of horrific. And the main reason being, not all me, but a good 50 to 60% of it was me. Now, and I never put two and two together, that the home life I grew up in was very volatile. There was violence, there was screaming, and there was shouting, and that was how I grew up, in that kind of environment. And I never put two and two until I met you, which kind of rhymes, really. I'm not trying to do a flow here. That basically my mind was recreating, or whatever, what part of me was recreating my childhood environment. Am I right? Am I doing right? Tell me if I'm explaining this in the wrong manner.
Like I say, during that you're growing up, is where your belief system's formed. Yeah, that is literally what creates your reality, because that's skewed your perception. So from a subconscious point of view, you're always looking to reenact, to self-fulfill whatever that belief is. Yeah, so for you, one of your beliefs was I am alone. Yeah, so because you hold that deep-rooted belief subconsciously, you will always fuck up and sabotage any relationship or anything that would take you outside of that belief. Because now, in order to have survived that, you've had to condition yourself to believe and your body understand that that's the safest place for you to be. So now, even though there's somebody there that you consciously want a relationship with and you want to be vulnerable with, your body won't allow that, because that belief will override it. Yeah, it's not safe. It's not safe to be vulnerable. And I am alone. So those two things will never allow that to happen.
No. I mean, it's the survival brain as well. I mean, I recognize this. Even it's a daily thing, and I'll think of something, and for example, somebody will offer me a gig, and I'll go, and somebody offered me one tonight, and I immediately thought, like, I thought of 10 reasons why I shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I can think back to quite a few instances where things have come in good, and I've instantly gone into panic.
Yeah. And again, that's because the nervous system can't hold it, because it's not being conditioned to do that.
For example,
but again, I think that's what you was wanting me to touch on before. So from a nervous system point of view and a subconscious point of view, it's always looking to recreate what is familiar. Yeah. And again, ego's kind of there as well, because ego wants to always know where I'm at and identify itself. Yeah. So collectively, that's why it kind of gets to the same shit, different day, because subconsciously you're creating the same through your belief system. Your nervous system is used to whatever the familiar is, whether that's heaven or hell. So so for you were brought up in a volatile home, yeah, always shit going on. So your nervous system was always stimulated. Yeah, you was always in either fight, flight, or freeze in order to survive that childhood. Yeah, you knew no difference. Yeah. So growing up, then you've replicated the same. So even now, you being on stage, to a degree, will fire your nervous system off. Yeah? And that's your familiar, which is why you're comfortable in doing that. But I mean, if you was to enter into a relationship that was really calm and placid with somebody that was there to really give you genuine love, for your nervous system, that ain't fucking familiar. So the nervous system reads that as unsafe. And for as long as the nervous system reads something as unsafe, your body and your vibration will reject it all day long.
Do you know what? I was thinking back, I think it was yesterday, of my life, and I was thinking, fuck me, it has been so fucking chaotic. I was just thinking, I mean, the stuff and the situations I've caused, and I just thought, fucking hell, it has been a cascade.
Yeah, like you've hit on there, that's your need to recreate that chaos, to keep your nervous system in the familiar state. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Peace and calm to you is like, fuck, that's not safe. I've got to create some shit. I've got to create an argument. I've got to fuck this up. I've got to do whatever. And it's the we look at it as sabotage, but realistically, it's the body trying to keep you safe.
Yeah, I mean, self-sabotage has been a big thing of mine. I remember my agent sent me this audition through. Can you be in London tomorrow? It was for this gift gaff advert. What I ended up doing, but initially I thought, no, I can't be in London tomorrow. How can I get a train tomorrow? Yeah, and I thought, and it was just blind fucking panic. And it's like I said, even if your life is shit, your mind is very familiar with the terrain of failure and the landscapes of disappointment and all that, and where it becomes a situation where something brilliant could be just scary because you don't fucking know that. But exactly. you know it's like to be fucking dejected and thrown and just in a bad place. You can handle even though it's horrific, you can handle being in a bad place. But like that's the survival brain. And from what I've learned about you, it takes a fucking lot of work therapy. When I was younger, I went seeing a therapist, and I'm not going to go into detail because I've said it too many times. But basically, I expected him to go into his office and then pull out a magic wand and go, bang, there you go, everything's all right now. Go forth and multiply. And it wasn't like that. But therapy, in my understanding of it, you give the client a set of tools to deal with certain scenarios and situations. It's up to them it's like giving you a book to read, but if you don't apply what's in that book, you can read all the self-help books in the world, and as though you put them back on your shelf and then carry on being you and not addressing what's wrong inside or what's not working. But my point being, it does take a lot of work therapy, and it can be difficult, but it's rewarding, and it has to be that way, doesn't it, to get through and delve through the stuff that's blocking you.
Like I said, if you're sat in any form of therapy whatsoever and you're not in pain, where's your escape?
Yeah.
Like you're spinning up here, aren't you? And it's not about the logical aspect and the logical understanding of that pain. We've got to work with the body. So that's what I said to you before, when we've done the somatic work and you've actually released those emotions, that's what changes shit. Yeah, you could speak for years on end, but it doesn't change the trauma that the body's holding. You've got to go in and actually free up and get rid of that emotional store that's there. That's the trauma.
Could we touch on the somatic thing for my benefit as well as everybody else's? That the part of the therapy where I lie on the bed at the end, and is that the somatic? Could we tell people about that? I mean, it's not esoteric, is it? You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
But could you explain that, please?
Yeah, so I'll describe a session a little bit. So within a root cause therapy session, it doesn't run anything like kind of a standard kind of therapy session. So sessions run for around about 2 hours, sometimes a little bit longer. The first part of the session, we are sat and we're talking, we're sat face to face talking, and we're going through emotions that you're holding on to. So we would be sat together and I've already understood all your history, because that's kind of what we do in session 1. So come session 2, we would sit together and I would be asking, okay, if you were to think anger or frustration from birth till now, who or what comes up? At that point, I only need surface level stuff, because we've already discussed everything the week before or whatever. So it might be mum, dad, sister, uncle, such a body from school, ex, whoever, yeah? So very quickly you start to understand the amount of emotional baggage that you're holding. And we go through a whole host of emotions, fear, anxiety, guilt, shame, trauma, there's all kinds in there. So that's the first part of the session. So it starts to get the client to open up and actually start to understand the layers of emotions that they're holding. From there, then we do a bit of a checklist, just since I've seen you last week, so I can check that we're kind of moving in the right direction that we need to be. The third part of the session is where we're actually testing the belief system, and we test the subconscious beliefs rather than what you think is consciously going on. So we use a method called kinesiology, muscle testing, so the body actually answers the questions. So from there, then we've got a full list of whatever the beliefs are that are affecting you, which are creating the patterns of crap that you're stuck in, whatever the symptoms are. So then the last part of the session is where actually then you move on to the bed. We do some breathing exercises. I'm getting you in a nice relaxed state. I'm getting you into a theta state. So it's kind of where you're at just before you close your eyes as you're about to go to sleep, or as soon as you wake up in the morning. You're kind of groggy, you're half there, half not. From there then is where sorry, go on.
Sorry, Chris, ask a question. A theta state, is that kind of where the mind's most receptive to suggestion, in a theta state?
Yeah, it's the easiest place that we can get in under the subconscious whilst you're still consciously aware. So it's that place you can work with both. And that's where we want you to be in root cause. Don't want you to be hypnotized in any shape or form. Yeah, it's always about the client being in full control. So at that point, I've got you into a very nice, relaxed state, and that's where we start to access the subconscious. And people quite often worry that they're not going to remember or whatever, but the body knows what's going on. So from there, whatever belief that we was working on, I would literally first off ask the question: is it okay for the unconscious mind to release whatever belief we're working on today? And we respect what the client says, yeah, because your subconscious knows much more about you than I'm ever going to know. So if at that point the subconscious says, no, we can't go there, we don't go there. We find another belief, or we ask the subconscious, and we're gentle with it to understand what aspects that we can work on. It gets to a point where let's say you told me, let's say we're working on I Am Alone, and you've told me that this happened when you were 3 months old, okay? I'll literally get you into a place then where you're floating all the way back into your past. You're dropping right down into this event when you was 3 months old. You're able to see through your own eyes and feel within your own body whatever was happening. So once a client's inside of that event, they'll then start to explain to me what they're able to see and to feel. From there then, we go into the actual emotion. So this is the somatic side of what's happening. Okay. And we get the client to identify where in the body are they feeling that emotion. Can they identify what that emotion is? How does that feel? Is it heavy? Is it spinning? Is it moving? Is it sharp? Is it this? Is it that? Is there a colour that they'd associate with it? And again, it's really helping the client to start to build emotional intelligence as to where they might hold certain emotions or where a certain trigger might be held or whatever. So then from there, as you will recall, and I find that this is probably the hardest part for a client in root cause therapy. From there, then we would identify whatever the fear was. So let's say you've told me you're 3 months old, you're in this event now, you can't really see anything, everything's pitch black. All you're aware of is this intense fear that you can feel within your body. We've identified that you're feeling that fear around your chest area. Yeah, so we would go into the somatics of that. How does it feel? Blah, 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 blah. The last question I would ask you is, on a scale of 0 to 10, how strong is that emotion? Usually for people, it's pretty high. Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then as you recall, what we do then is we actually amplify that emotion within the client all the way up to 20. Now, the reason we do that isn't because I'm being cruel. It's literally because this is what happens and this is where trauma gets stored. So in actual fact, an emotion should really travel through the body within 60 to 90 seconds. It should come in, complete an emotional loop, regulate and leave the body. What actually happens is an emotion hits, we become overwhelmed, the body and the mind can't process what's going on, it gets trapped somewhere in the body and it sits there. It was never able to complete its loop because the age that you was at or whatever trauma you experienced overwhelmed. So the reason that we amplify it is so that it can actually complete that loop and then leave the body. So if you remember, we turn that emotion all the way up, you sit with that emotion and you feel it as intensely as you can. As you're doing that, you tend to be flooded with memories or other thoughts or beliefs or shit from the past that's coming up. As soon as that naturally starts to lower, then we guide the client through a whole host of breathing exercises. So they're actually learning how to regulate that emotion, but they're also clearing all that emotion that's been stored, which is what you experienced in your, as you felt like the exorcist, yeah?
And not only that, you know what? It's so bizarre because some of the most fucking random memories came up that I'd never thought about for 30, 40 years. 30,
the body never forgets them, and that's the big
years. And I will tell it because it's funny. One thought came up. It was in primary school. You know this one. I was circa 5 years old or something. No, I don't know. Before
I think you might have been 7. I can't remember.
Yeah. Argument's sake, I was 7, 8. And there was a girl called, her name was Sharon, and I asked her out in class, and I remember, I think I was swinging on 2 tables like a mong, which is, sorry for that word, you know, as you do when you're a kid, you're just a bit thick, aren't you? And I said, will you go out with me, Shaz? And I think she said something like, nay. Now, I fancied this girl, obviously, because I asked her out. First time a kid, I asked her out. But what compounded insult to injury was my dad always compared me with this kid. Now in his mind, this kid was like super kid, and he would like use this kid as the stick to beat me with, saying, if I didn't finish me greens, say, well, for want of, I won't use his name, super kid eats all his greens. Super kid eats the tabletop, and he'd always like compare me to this kid. And the irony is, the girl that rejected me fancied the kid who my dad championed, and it's funny now, but you know, but like
at the time, was it Paul? Was traumatized, wasn't he?
I'd never thought about that for decades, but like I said, the stuff that we've got stored in our minds.
Because I think it was the fear of rejection, wasn't it, with that one that we was working on, and that was what it took you back to, yeah.
Like I said, my wounds, you know, are not being good enough and being rejected, and like, so now when I feel that twinge, I know why I feel that twinge, and you know, we've still got a lot of work to do with it. Like like you said, it's not. it's a life's work to get yourself well, because when you think about it, if you've spent the last 50 years learning yourself to get depressed like that, it's the mechanism, it's unlearning mechanisms in it, and
the body literally becomes addicted, because if you think every single emotion that you feel doesn't just carry an energetic vibration, it also releases a whole host of chemicals throughout the body. Yeah. You're full of stress, and you've got bloody adrenaline, cortisol running through your body. You're full of happiness, you're hit with dopamine, you're in love, you're whacked with oxytocin. Yeah. Whatever emotion that we've got creates a chemical reaction within the body. So if you, again, your conditioning is to be angry, or to be pissed off, or to be down, or to be whatever, the body will actually seek that. So again, you will create instances, or put yourself in positions or around certain people or whatever that will create those emotions within you. And again, for me, it's so much just about understanding ourselves, because no fucker teaches us any of it. Yeah, we're not taught anything about emotions in school. We're not taught jack shit about how to look after ourselves, how to really understand ourselves internally, and to understand that the inner world is literally what controls everything. Whatever's going on externally is only ever a mirror to what the bloody hell's going on inside of you.
We're not. Sorry, I apologise, Jayney. We're not taught how to deal with our energy, how we are ourselves energetically. I mean, that's because. Sorry. No, but because school, basically, conspiracy time, it's just there to make you into a worker.
It's not even a conspiracy, Jimmy. It's fact. Yeah, there's books in the text there that prove it. It ain't no conspiracy. School is there to take you the fuck away from who you are, and to make you into a clone, to spit you out into society, to go and fucking live the rat race and be a slave. That's what it's designed for. You're
taught to wear a uniform, and you're taught how to have breaks. So it was the Rothschilds that funded the schooling system. It was either them or the Rockefellers. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But anyway, the school doesn't work on a number of levels. We'll be very quick on this. It also doesn't teach you financial intelligence. All school teaches you is to go and work for someone. But winding away from that,
I think just before you move on, and I'm sure I probably covered this with you in session at some point. So this was something I stumbled across moons ago, and it was years ago. NASA, full of shit, but NASA had brought in some top psychologist guy at the time. They wanted to understand the level of genius that they kind of employed. So they brought some guy in, and he developed some kind of test to measure the level of genius within NASA. And the way that he put this test together was, the way that he kind of quantified genius was the level of kind of divergent brain. So a non-genius, you could present a problem to, and they may be able to come up with 4, 5, 6 different ways around that problem. But if you was to present the same issue to somebody with a genius brain, they may come up with 20, 30 different solutions to be able to deal with it. So he kind of based it on the kind of divergence of the brain and understanding and creation and everything else. A few years later, what they realized was that test was that simplistic that it could be rolled out and used on anybody. So there was a huge longevity test that was put together, and this was across a huge demographic kind of setting, yeah. And I think the numbers, I might be wrong, but it was around about 2,500 kids that this study started on. So they, across all these children they'd looked at, and the study revealed at the very beginning they tested them at age 3. So what I'm sure I've covered it with you anyway, but at age 3, what they was able to show was that it was 98% genius level of a 3-year-old, because they're completely authentic. They've not been shut down. Yeah. They run the same study again, the same test on the kids when they were at access school. They were 7 or 8, and again, my figures will be wrong here, but it's around these figures. By the time they tested them when they were age 7, 8, the level of genius had already reduced to 60-odd%. They tested them again as late teens, 15, 16, it had reduced to 30-odd%. They tested them again as adults, and at that point, the genius level was 2%. Now, if that don't prove that the school system and the education system is here to absolutely shut you down, I don't know what else can.
It's true. I'm thinking, well, Einstein did a quote in it, but forgive me if I phrase it wrong. Is everyone is born a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, kind of thing, you know.
Each of us left to our own. You imagine if you from birth was just nurtured to be who the fuck you should be and to create whatever you're here to create. What a beautiful world we would live in. But sadly, there's no fuckers could control us then, which is why they shut all this shit away from us and nobody teaches us it.
Are you cool because slightly over time?
Yeah, sure.
But that leads us kind of into the 4 agreements. Now, have you added the 4 agreements to root cause therapy, or is it an integral part of?
No, it was. To be honest, those books had kind of followed me around for about 20 years, and I just never read them. And it was just a couple of years ago, so I'd already been practicing root cause for a good couple of years, and it came in front of me, and I was like, right, I'm gonna bloody read it. And I read it, and I was like, Jesus Christ, why have I never read this before? And obviously then I noticed how much it kind of mirrors and cements the work that we do within root cause, which is why anybody who comes anywhere near me, I would always recommend the 4 agreements, and certainly that trilogy to them, because I just think it's beautiful book, and it allows you to see how much bullshit you actually get stuck in on you by yourself. So yeah, that's why I love it. But now it's got nothing to do with root cause. I just kind of.
Well, I thought it was. Can we briefly touch on the 4 agreements? Let me see if I can remember them. I never can remember them. Be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. I fucking never assume anything. I feel like a prick now.
Don't make assumptions. But go on, yeah, I'll give you that one.
So never assume anything. Yeah. Impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Please help me, Jaynie, and please help me.
Always do your best.
Always do your best.
And the big one, similar to don't make assumptions, as big as this side. Can you remember it? Don't take anything
personally. No, them are my 2 big fucking things.
Same for everybody, all 4 of them. Yeah, we all fuck up all day long on all 4 of them. That's why I always say principle, piece of piss, try putting them into practice day by day, and it's bloody hard.
Like it's fucking, it's work. Therapy, it's putting the work in. And I mean, like,
it's understanding yourself, and it's allowing yourself, rather than that reaction that's always been there. You're allowed then that minute of pause to go, I understand this is old shit because it comes from whatever. I don't need to project that shit out. I don't need to lose all my energy over that. I can deconstruct my shit here and move forward in minutes rather than weeks, months, years. That's what it's about, isn't it?
I mean, like, for example, me was a classic one. Somebody doesn't pick the phone up. What have I done? You try to contact somebody a few times, you can't get in touch with them. Mr. Assumption will say, what would I have done? Why have they fell out with me? You know, that's kind of one example. And I'm terrible at taking things personally. People on this live stream will tell you, I mean, because I haven't been involved in toxic environment live streams and internet for years, sometimes I just scan read things and I take everything as an affront. I take everything. So I'm always on the back foot kind of thing when I'm kind of, you know, reading things and things, which is once again taking things personally and assuming things. But you know, I've lost my fucking thread now. I had my next point lined up and it's just fucking gone.
See, you know, you're catching me brain, Jimmy. That's what's happening here.
No, but I appreciate you coming on. And what was the next point? It was leading on from that.
About not taking anything personally and kind of feeling that rejection if you're ringing somebody and they're not picking up or whatever.
It was a natural thing from the 4 agreements to the next thing in my warped fucking mind. But I appreciate you coming on and doing this. You know,
thank you for having me, because as you know, and again, I'll say it out loud. So this is my first time doing anything like this. So yeah, thank you for being there and being somebody I can trust.
Look at the comments you're getting. You know what I mean? Jaynie's a beautiful, wise woman. Hope you come on as a guest again. You've got there's a lot of love for you in the chat. It's what I'm so far. I tell you what. While I've got a fucking wet tea bag floating around in my brain now, and the test card's on, would you be all right to answer some questions? Has anybody got any questions for Jaynie regarding therapy, recourse therapy? There's one here from Sean C. I'm going to have to scroll up to get it because it was early on in the the session. Not session, is it? It's a chat. What the fuck am I on about? I'm sorry about this, Jaynie. Bear with me. Oh, Jaynie, can you ask Jay? Sean C says, Jimmy, can you ask Jayney what if the pain wound feels like it's in the mind, head? What if
Again,
the emotional wound? What if the emotional wound feels like it's in the head?
so again, it can be multiple things. So it can be, rather than actually feeling that emotion because you've never been taught or it's never been safe to allow that emotion, we try and make logical sense out of it. So we end up stuck in the head in thought, which creates a load of shit because we've never been taught how to fall into the body and actually feel that emotion rather than trying to make logical sense out of it. But on top of that, it can also be that is where that trauma is trapped. Like you said before, you're feeling it currently around your heart. Yeah, for somebody else, that trauma can actually, that energy can actually be stuck there in the head. Can also be the amygdala. It can be lots of different things.
And like it says in the four agreements, everyone's walking around with various emotional wounds. So you know you see that, especially now. I think after the COVID shit, the world is. Would you agree that vibrationally people are in what a lot? It's like a quantum leap in mental health problems since then. Would you agree?
Yeah, because again, what it did, if you think anybody that was kind of predisposed to anxiety or fearful or anything along those lines, they're the people that they absolutely were able to target, and it was just fucking cruelty as far as I can see. Yeah, it's all it did was put people up.
Absolutely. We've got another question here from Lee Shmee. Hello, Lee Shmee. Anyway, she does the graphic design for me sometimes. Thank you, Lee. I don't know what I did there. I've had EMDR therapy where I went back to childhood trauma and talked to myself as a child. What is the difference between EMDR and root therapy?
Okay, huge. Within EMDR therapy, usually all you can kind of deal with is what's conscious. Yeah, it isn't. And EMDR therapy is, I think, brilliant for somebody who may have been through one specific traumatic event that is creating maybe PTSD around that one event. Yeah, you can keep going in and you can keep desensitizing the self to whatever was going on. Within root cause therapy, whatever that traumatic event was that you're consciously aware of, a lot of the time is not even somewhere that we need to touch on in order for the client to heal from it, because we're going right back to wherever the first slightest trigger or belief around that similar trauma was actually came from. So I've worked with a lot of clients who have been through a lot of horrendous trauma in lots of different ways that they've got conscious awareness of. But when we've actually gone in and done the therapy, the place that we actually work from, we're not even needing to go into that event of that horrific thing that happened. And that's the big difference between EMDR, because in EMDR, you constantly kind of having to go back into that place and recall it so that you can teach the body some resilience to be able to deal with it. Within root cause, we're actually going to the root of that issue. We're changing the belief. You understand? After the session of root cause, you come out and you understand what your belief is. You understand why you formed that belief. You understand that belief was actually bullshit. You understand how that belief is affecting you. You're then able to tap into your own wisdom to understand the truth. You can also, at times, I will put you in there to pick up that inner child and to give them whatever it is that they needed. And that's kind of where it works so differently than EMDR, because all of that healing around that specific thing is done and contained within that one session. And then when you come next week, we're working on something different. So it's not about keep re-traumatizing a client to go over and over and over an event that, like I say, just feeds back into the identity of that's who I am. And I think that's probably the biggest, or one of the biggest differences between it. So I hope that's answered your question properly.
I'm sure it was a good answer. I've come back to what I wanted to mention. Now it talks about in the four agreements but there's a couple of books in the four agreements. I think is the book, and it's like from being a child, your worldview is given to you by your environment, what your parents tell you, what your teachers tell you, and also the trauma you may receive as a child. Yeah. So basically, like you said, you're not working from an authentic viewpoint of purity.
We're not allowed to be, yeah.
You were not working from so Like, for example, I think I said it in one of the fucking videos. My mum and dad hated Cliff Richard, and I grew up hating Cliff Richard. I'm not basically hating him, but not that there's Cliff Richard. I don't like him, and things like that. So, in a way, we are viewing things, as they call it, and Mitote, the mayor.
Yeah.
We're all
certainly like your bigger things. If you think like your political views and your social views and all those kind of things, they're very much, if you're living in that environment, yeah, that's, you will grow up with a similar view. In most instances.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We've got a question from Barry Titler. Me and him used to fall out on. We used to be, me and him used to be like daggers drawn. Chatting with
your mates now.
Well, we're all right. We don't go for coffee or anything, but yeah. Hello, Barry. Understanding.
Learn not take it personally, Jimmy.
Do you know what? We're very similar. Perhaps you could do a joint session one day with me and Barry. We were both in nappies. Right, I'm only joking, yeah. I don't want to give you some bad imagery before bedtime. Understanding is one thing, but how do you move forward and change mentally? Asked Barry.
Because fundamentally, it's two things. First off, the belief has changed. So now, because the belief has changed, the perception changes, your thoughts change, therefore your emotions change, therefore your feelings change. So the actions you take change and the results change. So that's one side of it. The other side is because we've actually gone into the somatics in the body as well, and we've cleared the body from we've cleared the trauma from the body as well as in the mind. And that's the beauty of root cause, because we're working holistically. Yeah. For most people, you go and see a psychiatrist, they're only interested in your mind. You go and see a physician, they're only interested in your body. Within root cause, it's pulling all those different aspects together. So we're working with the full being rather than just aspects. And that's why it works so rapidly.
As well, work must continue outside of the therapy room. You can't just go into the therapy room, can you? And do everything that's needed to be done in the room. Then go out of the room and behave like you did previously, and not check your thoughts. It
depends on which way the therapy's done. So for the work that me and you have done, a lot of that hasn't been root cause therapy. Yes, so we've not been going into the belief system. We've done it in all different ways. But the bulk of the work that I've done with you has been what I would consider more like conscious coaching. Yeah, it's allowing you to understand consciously what's gone on, until the body can then reach a place where it feels safe enough to go in and do a lot of the deeper work that's gone on. Yeah. Within the root cause therapy program, if we're able to access those beliefs and we're able to work on that week by week, I would say probably 99% of my clients, literally, we've cleared all of the beliefs, all of the shit's gone, and they're free the other side. That's the beauty of the program.
So they would not have to carry on doing like work outside of the room, like
it's still you picking up yourself, but now you've got that awareness. So it's not, healing is not about nothing's ever going to affect me. I'm not going to be pissed off. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be fucking whatever. Yeah, healing is about, I know who the fuck I am. Yeah, I know that this shit, what's coming up now, it's past shit. So why am I going to split my shit at you? Yeah, it's my past shit. You were just something that triggered my trigger. So now I can pick that up and save myself a whole host of shit. Yeah, it's about that conscious awareness and forever growing. Yeah, for me, I will be doing this work internally forevermore, because I never want to be that shriveled wreck that I was on the floor when I had my nervous breakdown. So it's a bit like you take the red pill, blue pill. Once you've got that awareness, how the fuck do you go back to that? Yeah, I can sit here and go, oh, it's his fault. It was because of them. It was because of that. But inside, I know that's bullshit. Whatever's going on outside, I know is because I've fucked it up in some way, or I'm limiting myself in some way. Yeah, it's about me. So I come back into me.
About breaking, and also about breaking the societal programming. Is there such a fucking word as societal? Yeah, I think I heard it on Open University once. But basically, breaking the programming, because we're all basically programmed. Like you mentioned to me about the film The Matrix. Now I thought it was about the Illuminati and all that shit. I didn't see that point of it. That it was the Matrix is the programming of us all, kind of thing, and it's just about learning to understand the programming that's been instilled in you and breaking it and overcoming it.
And more than that, understanding who the fuck you are. Yeah, know thyself. Yeah, as soon as Neo steps into and he has that belief in himself that he's the one, that's when he's powerful. Yeah, it doesn't matter who else told him he was the one. He didn't feel that. He didn't have that belief in himself. The second he believed that and his belief changed, wow, now look what he can do. And that's what the Matrix is trying to show you. Sort your fucking beliefs out. It's the only thing that's limiting you.
Absolutely. Has anybody any more questions for Jaynie? Who's been very gracious, giving up an hour or so of a Friday night to talk to all you lot.
No, genuinely appreciate you having me here.
No, I hope it's not too. I know you're. I mean, I'm a fucking narcissist show pony, so I've been doing this shit for years. So it's like second nature kind of thing. But I can imagine this is like a bit out of the blue for you, and a bit of.
First one I've ever done. So, yeah.
You've come across very natural though, and you know you've come across fine with it. I'm sure you'll have your own you'll be doing TikTok lives tomorrow and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I had another point. Yeah, as well as root cause therapy, there's the access bars. What other services do you offer? Was the conscious coaching? Is there anything that?
So yeah, I kind of offer an array. So root cause therapy, obviously. I do offer some separate inner child healing for people that want that. Conscious coaching, which is a lot of the work that I've been doing with you. So really going into those spiritual concepts, really understanding and me going, right, this is your bullshit. This is how you deconstruct it back to here. I offer half and half sessions. So some clients will book in for an hour and a half and we'll do half talking, half access bars. I offer a program called Energy Cleansing, which is a bit of we're finding trapped emotions within the different chakras within the body, and then using a bit of Reiki and a bit of access bars to help clear that. Moving forwards, I'm going to be introducing some group work. I'm going to be introducing some manifestation, like alignment work, and yeah, a couple of different programs. So excited for what happens this year.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to put you offer a 30. I'm correct in thinking this. I'm not getting. You offer a free 30-minute consultation to anyone who's interested in coming to you, having a chat to you about anything you need on a therapeutic level. I'm going to put a link in chat here. I will put this link below the video, but now in chat, that link is to Jaynie's website, where you can go on, have a look, and you can contact Jaynie. The phone number's on there. I'll just throw it up here as well. So this is the website where Jaynie offers you free 30-minute consultation at a Wigan studio. Studio, the right term? What do you call it? Space? I don't know
does it? Yeah. Come and see me. Come and have a chat. 30 minutes free time. It's literally gives you the opportunity to either come and sit in my room with me or online, whichever you prefer. But it gives you an opportunity to kind of let me know a little bit what's going on for you. I will give you some insight into what I think is going on and how I think I can help you. But really, it's about allowing you that time to sit with me and know whether I'm the right therapist for you to work with. As you've probably seen from today, I'm very direct. I F and blind a lot. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I don't want to be. I'm me. So the people that are aligned to me will be happy to work with me. The people that are not aligned with me will go and find another therapist. And I think it's important that I allow somebody the opportunity to make that decision before I take any money off them. So yeah, that's why I offer the free 30 minutes. Absolutely.
Crevo says, I can tell Jaynie's enjoying it despite being new for her. It must be someone you know, kind of thing.
Thank you. But, yeah, who are you? Because I don't know who you are.
What is your real name, Crevo? Before we wrap up, has anybody any quick questions for Jaynie before she goes and gets her Horlicks? She's been working on root cause all day, so she, it's not been like me eating chips all day and stuff like, that was another interesting thing I found out about your therapy, by the way, is you might know what I'm going to say here, because I just thought I ate lots of food because I was particularly greedy. But in one of the somatic sessions, where an emotion was kind of intensified, and you placed under would I call it a form of trauma, a revisited trauma. I became very
hungry. Going into your actual belief systems, so you was understanding where your specific beliefs had come from.
And I was when this somatic healing was going on, purging, whatever, for the wrong term I'm using, I became very hungry. Now, I assumed I just ate a lot of food because I was greedy, but you, as you said, it's some kind of trauma response. It's like comfort eating. Is that the right? Is that your kind of a right term?
It's literally finding something, anything that will fill that empty void that's in there. So you feel that void, and at some point in your past, you've learned, or somebody fed you, and that felt like love. Yeah. So a lot of the time, this comes from grandparents. Yeah. So we go visit grandparents, and they're feeding us, and it feels so loving. Yeah. So and then as we grow up, when we're in emotional trauma, the first thing we'll go to is what made me feel loved, and a lot of the time, that's food.
Here's one for you, Jaynie. This is Paul Webster. He goes around telling everybody the gas is free and all that. I think he needs a lot of. He needs like 10 years of root cause therapy. And do you offer an electric bobcat service as well, where we can wire him to the mains? Paul,
No.
Paul, I'm joking. I know that your gas is free. This isn't the right. This is not a freeman of the land chat. It's yeah, don't listen to him unless you want to get 6 months in prison. Okay, thanks very much. Jaynie, Paul, I'm joking. I don't mean it. It was just a joke. I realise what you do and all that. And congratulations on your grandchild. Don't be telling your grandchild, but it's just firstborn. Your gas is free. You know, read him a fucking story about Robin Hood. Anyway, Jaynie, thank you very much. It's been delightful. I hope tonight. I hope you won't need root cause therapy after this chat. You know.
No, you've looked after me well. Thank you.
No, see, I told you it wasn't a fucking stitch up. Like there was no like fucking custard pies waiting for you. But I shall see you next week.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you Tuesday.
Thank you very much, and I'll just wrap it up now. But yeah, have a lovely evening. And anybody, the link's going to be below this video for Jaynie to contact her about anything you need therapeutic wise. Thank you very much, Jaynie.
Thank you.
Bye bye, love. Ta-ra.
Bye.
Okay, everybody, right? I'm going to go now as well. If you want to send me any money, please feel free. There's a donation link at the top of the channel. I shall see you tomorrow night when I'm talking to Jacob about improv and stuff. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. See you, Jaynie. Bye bye. I fucked up. I pressed the wrong button. See you later. Bye bye.